You know that saying that the days last forever, but the years fly by? I know they're talking about kids, but can we also take a minute and apply it to the laborers on the land? This is a look at all that we have built and worked toward in 2024, and y'all, it's a lot. We'll start exactly 12 months ago when we had this brilliant idea to get ducks in December. Yes, that is ducks in December. Remember, you're not going to come to us for a perfect picture of homesteading. You're here because we are fun, and we're happy to share the good, the bad, and the ugly with you.
So cute. Thought they were Peking ducks, but
Pekin?
they're cute.
Peking duck it is. What could have prompted us to brood holiday poultry, you ask? Well, the short answer is Texas. She's wild, she's rugged, and she has many months of warm weather. So December for us isn't a crazy time to bring home baby birds. And that's homesteading in a nutshell. There is nothing prescriptive because what works for one property is a whole nother ballgame at somebody else's. A surefire fact that we have learned about farm animals is that the bigger ones are the squeaky wheel. Your milk cow will always require more maintenance than your ducks, and Goldie is no exception. I've researched and learned more about milk cows this year than I could ever forget, and Goldie is what we call a race car. She requires high input of fuel to keep her going, but man, is she gonna produce. At this point, she had just lost her calf to pneumonia about a month before and was giving us nearly 4 gallons of milk a day. Even with twice-a-day milking, it's hard for us to keep her milked out and metabolically healthy. But calves are a great fix for this cow. She's a fantastic nurse cow and is so willing to take on calves as her own. But let me point out that not all calves are created equal, and we discovered this when we brought home a Brahma calf we not so affectionately named Chupacabra. Never have I ever seen a cow kick like a donkey before and butt like a goat.
Oh!
Mom, they're doing something with the big red thing.
I hate that thing.
She is otherworldly. The way your instincts are like, done, babe, we're already freaked. So we kept her around and stayed out of her way for a few weeks until we could get this second calf, BB, acclimated well. She was more timid, but a willing nurse calf, and we really just needed an eager calf to help lighten the burden of twice-a-day milking. So as quickly as we could get BB and Goldie bonded, we then shipped Chupa off to the barn.
Oh my God!
The country has all kinds of novelties, even years after moving here, and the kids could not resist a frozen pond and risking it all to test how far the ice went early in the year. But ice is never enduring here in Central Texas, and another kind of pond project was absolutely necessary. We have a vision to maximize rainfall on our property, and you can't get better than free. These strategic little swale and berms at the high points of our property will transform it over time. I cannot overstate the satisfaction of seeing a full pocket pond, knowing that our summers are sure to promise devastating drought. So enjoy this little splash break.
It's working!
Because we know that the summer heat will scorch us out of a late summer garden, we jumped into our full garden renovation super early in the year. That, and the fact that we had freezing temperatures for literally 10 days this year, completely skipped our winter season. So we didn't even get to cut back the fodder trees that we grow in our garden. This is something we regretted later on in the year because getting leaves for Goldie's breakfast was a literal stretch. But I'd say next to our chicken butchery workshop, I'll share about that in a minute, the garden renovation was our biggest project of the year. We built 10 new garden beds, we filled them, planted in them, and set up drip irrigation in the middle of February. If you're still under snow and ice during February, I know that this may seem like I am speaking a foreign language here. But our highs were already in the 60s and the low was at its lowest in the 40s. So all of our efforts were made with great expectations that this garden would deliver. And boy, did she. Just a preview, because this is a space that keeps on giving. Something I really hope you hear from us on our channel is that New things are usually difficult. This was our first time butchering a pig here, and I can't even number the amount of things that indicated this was not going to be a great outcome. And yet, here we are. We butchered Missy here on our farm, following YouTube videos and FaceTiming our friends who'd done this before, just hoping that we got it right. Now, if we were scoring on a grade, I'd say we got like a C-. So many things, like this pig was underweight, but I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you the hardship of butchering our first pig here on our own on our homestead. For a few years now, I've been getting together with this group of women who've become so dear to me that our group chat is titled Southern Sisterhood. You might recognize a few of them. It's a rare thing that internet friends become friends in real life, but I will tell you that our get-togethers are my Super Bowl, and this is what I mean. I get ready to leave by prepping food and schedules for Bo, and then these friends and I pack all the sharing and connection into one supercharged weekend. We started years ago with a baby shower for Meg, and this year we got to celebrate another holler baby. When I say that I leave these girls' weekends with a heart overflowing, I mean it. I always walk away with something that touches my soul and gives a new direction to us here on our homestead. I remember one trip when I came home with a deep need for a family milk cow, and another was all about celebrating our own baby. This year, after nearly a week with Jess, I knew it was time to come home and start a channel about cooking, togetherness, and feeling confident in preparing meals for our families. And so we did that. We launched Better Together Eats. This came from a place of remembering that there was a time when I cooked everything out of a box or a package and had never prepared more than even a chicken breast. And now I raise the whole dang chicken. Get out. There is so much good that comes out of someone sharing their own recipes and experiences. And now I find myself in that place with experience that I'm excited to share with all of you. Cut away and I can enjoy this wing. Oh my gosh. That's why I don't show people eating. Long before we ever moved here, we had the intention to build a permaculture-centric homestead from scratch. Little by little, as each season passes, we gain more and more skill at this practice. This year, when the winter came in and out in under a week, our fodder trees were overrun with pests. So we took them to the pond and we gave the fish a snack. The pond is a slightly sour source for me. I don't think we could have envisioned the literal ups and downs that this thing would have. We live and die by rain here on our homestead. Central Texas has a very explicit climate when it comes to rain. And in May, we got the rain. Our pond filled. It was beautiful. It was actually a surprising moment to walk out and see the banks completely covered by this beautiful rain that had come. But stay tuned because we're going to show you just how bad it gets come this fall. Back to farm animals. We weren't going to stop after the disaster of butchering Missy at home, so we decided to push the easy button and take 2 feeder pigs to the processor. Wow, what a difference. If you had told 21-year-old me that 41-year-old me would be picking food from her garden and raising animals for meat to feed her family of 7, there was no way you could get me to believe you. We turned just over half of our meat into ground pork, and the rest was pork chops and pork butt and pork belly, and I know a lot of you have feelings about bacon here, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that I am team pork belly forever and forever. Wow! Okay, guys. Look at that! I am not mad at that! Look at that! Hear me out. A nice slow cook and then crisp at the end with some high heat, just a drizzle of maple syrup. This may be the most fantastic thing you have ever tasted. 2 medium pigs in our freezer took our family through most of the year with just a little left before we hosted our chicken butchery workshop in the fall. But until then, we're going to keep doing the next right thing. And it's never the wrong thing to innovate Friday night pizza. Party! Pizza party! I didn't technically build this pizza oven, but we have built a tradition on pizza. And this year, with firewood to spare, we perfected the wood-fired pizza on our homemade sourdough crust. I know what you're thinking. And yes, it is as good as you imagine. I say next to children, this might be my proudest moment. It feels like this was the first year we really committed completely to our garden. The renovation was like a down payment on the hope for a true harvest. I know I've talked about the hot months being a grind here, but the long growing season is a reward that I don't want to waste. I kid you not, I started planting from seed here in these beds in February. And then I added all spring. We had sunflowers, zinnias, tomatoes, and all manner of herbs had me feeling like a real-life garden fairy. I honestly didn't know that we could have such a productive garden, and I am thrilled. There was enough to store away and enjoy fresh, and the corn for sure is a repeat to do in the next year.
This is gonna work. Oh, something ate parts of it. But that's okay, we'll just cut it off.
No way.
Look at it! New corn!
This is from our garden.
What?
How'd you do that?
How did I do what?
Babe,
What?
you grew corn.
I grew corn.
That's a
And we're
lot of corn.
And I
No.
was just walking in the garden, I was like, dang it, there's not enough to put up. And then I was like, shut up. You're
You
eating
did
corn
it.
from your garden.
That's awesome.
How is that possible?
Isn't it so flavorful?
Everything has its season, and we prepped in the spring for the summer. Not just our garden, but this. I was open to a lot of new things and ideas, but pretty firm on just a few hard no's. They were upkeep, they were a risk, and dare I say, trashy.
It's just, it's not that classy of a thing that we thought we would ever do.
It's one of the things I never wanted. And here I am, nevering like I nevered before. Above ground pool. I was wrong. Please forgive me. I was riding high on these good summer vibes because the very next thing was that our ducks, these favorite, most adorable little things on our farm, started laying eggs. And we did not expect the weirdness of this first egg.
Oh my goodness, what is this?
Is it a duck egg?
No! I don't know what this is. I need a plate under it.
I know.
What is it?
It's a chicken. So this is when
What?
the chicken is calcium deficient and the egg shell doesn't develop enough.
Whoa.
No, not
Could that be a duck egg? Look at this. Okay, so Ollie just
accidentally popped.
sure, yeah, right. Yeah, you totally popped it.
Oh yeah, they're getting in.
But it is fertile, which means, Ella, that it's a duck egg. So it means it's a duck egg because we don't have roosters.
Goldie is a true queen, and if you're new here, can we talk about our milk cow Goldie? She is a result from one of those North Carolina trips where my homesteading friends made me think that I could do anything. And they were right. We have been hand milking this incredible cow for the last 3 years, and much to my regret, after giving birth in 2022, I developed this weird histamine issue and Bo had to take over the hand milking.
I really need a break. And Callie is allergic to Goldie, so she can't milk as much she has to take a Zyrtec.
It turns out I'm not the only one allergic to Goldie. I'm sure there's something here like just a histamine reaction, or for Bo, the fact that he's milking twice a day, exposed to those tiny little hairs on the udder, and also vinegar every single wash. So his hands became extraordinarily sensitive, and we had to come up with a solution. So this year, a milk machine made the cut, and I am so glad it did. We're able to milk out in under 10 minutes. Bo and I are the fastest hand milkers, but with the machine, it means that the kids can help too. We're building a milk parlor in the new year, and we have hopes to make it an off-grid space. Without electricity near the stanchion, this Opus power bank has kept the milk machine moving each morning. After a few months, 2 new calves helped us go from milking twice a day to just once. We have some fantastic friends who raise cattle, and they sent us 2 of their bottle babies to help us out, sort of like an animal loan. Although one of them did escape and ran 5 properties down the road. It was around this time we realized we're exhausted burning the candle at both ends. We were cranking out 2 videos on this channel twice a week, trying to build another channel and maintaining our business while clearing property and keeping homesteading projects moving forward. Then Bo's uncle passed away, and adding to the overwhelm, we realized we needed to pause and reevaluate. Oh, and the pool broke. So we slowed our roll and took a look at what we could cut back on to make time for the things that really needed our focus. Something we knew we could cut back on was animals, and with so much need for Goldie, there were some other places we had to look. It really was a melancholy moment for us to send our lovable, ploppable Bill to a new home. I know it may sound strange hearing from a bona fide pork belly fanatic that I'm not into raising pigs anymore. I love a stocked freezer, and I'm certain we're still going to raise at least 1 pig each year. But we've been managing several litters of piglets a year, and it's just more than I'm in for.
Come on, baby, we got rules to break, rules to break.
Done. It's done. The absolute easiest pig loading for the absolute best pig alive. I'm so happy that he is going to a good home.
I should probably mention that taking a timeout is not something Bo is actually built for. He basically just shifts his brain to something new. And that new thing for Bo that he jumped on this year is solar power. It started with just one bank to see what we could do with it, and then another, and in a few months we had put 6 solar generators to the test and installed panels on our roof. I'm telling you, this man does not rest. The last big project that we took on this year was truly big. I mean 75 meat chicks from our favorite hatchery kind of big. Ideal Poultry sent us 75 beautiful, healthy Cornish cross meat chicks, and they arrived from the post office in mid-September. All hands were on deck. It's wild to think that these little nuggets are ready to be processed in just 8 weeks. I'm so thankful that we get to be this close to the food that we eat, because before we moved out of the city, I cook from scratch but rarely purchase meat from the farmer. The cost and the access just wasn't easy. So after raising and processing our own birds for the last 5 years, this year we opened our farm up to teach other people and to give them that same access. This was a dream I'd had for a really long time. Moving here couldn't be just a lateral move for me. I wanted to try and teach on a bigger scale. 75 meat birds is a pretty big scale, and our girls took their job seriously. Every morning and evening for 8 straight weeks, our 7 and 10-year-old fed and watered these chicks. We moved them in the mobile tractors twice a day, and in the end, we raised over 300 pounds of meat to fill our freezer and to feed our family and our community over the next year. The workshop made my whole 2024. We sent everyone home with birds and workbooks and a full day's work of new skills under their belts. We also made the chicken butchery guide available for you in our shop. The link is in the description below. It's usually around early November that we begin auditing the current year and planning for the new one. We also really like to end the year with rest to be fully present into the new year. Here are some of the pain points that made our list. The pond being so low is a brain drain because it costs a lot of money to dig, and it obviously either has a leak or we just dug it too big for our area. I don't really know, but it's driving us crazy. So we'll move forward in 2025 with a solution. We ended the year with another failed AI for Goldie, and that means no baby cows this spring. But we're thinking we may sell our beef calf BB and bring home a second milk cow to help offset our family's need for milk and Goldie's need for input. But you know, if you give a mouse a cookie, he'll probably need to clear more land to make more room for more grazing for more cows. So Bo and Everett will be working with chainsaws and starting burn piles come January. The biggest plans that are already in the work, praise the Lord, is an addition to our house. I'm the first to advocate for small living quarters and lots of outside play and work. But when Everett surpassed Bo in height this year, we couldn't keep our teenager hunched in a loft much longer. It almost feels like the last 2 years have been slow in planning and preparing so that we could take a lot of action in the months to come. And this is why we do this reflection every year. There are ruts that we create with our own stinkin' thinkin'. It's true to human existence that we will focus on the negative, the unfinished to-do lists, the harvests that are less than abundant, the drought, the open cow. But when I zoom out and I get a bird's eye view, I actually see incredible fruit from the efforts we've put forward over the last 12 months. What a gift to work the land. What an honor to sweat and move our bodies and create with our hands. What a kindness and a mercy that the Lord saw fit to fill our lungs with breath and give us strength to produce for another year. And we hope that same perspective for all of you. Thank you for spending your time with us here. Be encouraged. We would love to hear about the fruit you saw in your own homes this year and encourage one another in the comments below.